Hi everyone. It is Bree here, co-host of the BWS Awareness Day, and I've got Lynn Hancock here, who is a BWS advocate as well as an adult with BWS. You may have seen her back in 2019 here at the summit. She had shared her story about advocacy, and so we're excited to hear, Lynn. Tell us a little bit about your experience advocating since 2019, and helping others advocate.
Well, for me, I think I've grown a lot since 2019. I've been very involved in the Backlist Mieterman support group that's on Facebook, which is made up of both adults and parents, which I think is wonderful because we can encourage each other. And I think I've gotten stronger in my advocacy because I've learned more, because
Yes.
I've learned things I never knew. You have to remember, I was diagnosed 50 plus years ago. So there's been a ton of changes since then.
Oh my goodness, yes. So what things recently have you learned that are new?
Well, for me, a lot of times it was actually meeting people who were my age who had BWS. Just recently in the group, um, there was a lady from the UK talking about how she had a time reduction, but
Oh,
she was 15. I had never met anyone that was older than when I had mine done, and I was actually 13.
wow.
So that was amazing because the way that this group has brought people together, because that support wasn't back there back then. We
No.
didn't have the internet. We
Hmm.
were on our own.
Right. And it can be very isolating. You think I'm the only one that has this and I can relate in that way. I don't think I met anyone until I was 30 that had BWS. And I know it kind of keeps getting like each generation, we kind of meet people sooner, right? And the hope
Mhm.
is that the kids then know, like, hey, you're okay, like, you've got these people. But yeah, I remember that feeling so like I'm just this anomaly. And then when I met other people, I was like, whoa, mind blown. I don't feel alone. We can actually relate in this way. And then how can we help each other? So I'm so excited about that connection you had in the group on Facebook.
Yes, for me, it actually was so rare that
Yes.
many years ago. Um, One of the doctors told my mom it was all in her head, but mother's instinct.
Yes.
And so she fought, she advocated, she never gave up. And when I was actually 10 when I was finally diagnosed by
Hmm.
Boston floating.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
and so I am very grateful to them. But it's just like we finally had an answer,
Right.
you know, because she knew. And what I know is a lot of the BWS of us that have it have orthopedic problems too.
Yes. Yep. What are you experiencing with
I
that?
had the very, I had the very high arches.
Mhm.
Um, and so I actually had 5 foot surgeries
Oh,
before I was a teenager.
yep.
Um, uh, but I was actually listening to Dee's video this afternoon that she just posted.
Yes.
And I mentioned it in her post, comment in her post. When she mentioned tenacity, strength, and love, I'm going, that was my parents. That
Yes.
was them.
Yeah.
Because
That
you have to be tenacious.
and you have to keep fighting, advocating. Yeah. And they taught you that as well, and why you're here today as
They,
also an advocate too.
yeah, I mean, just that not giving up, but that advocacy, I've known advocate has actually been a word for me this year in 25. Um, because I'm noticing I'm advocating for those who have disabilities, including myself.
Yes.
Um, but I'm also a caregiver for my sister now, and
Yeah.
I advocate for her as well. And so you see that the advocacy that you've been taught, because your parents that advocate, they're your role models,
100%. Mhm.
and they just show you. And I've been my dad's advocate when he was sick before he passed away. Now my sister's, but it's like it's given me the strength. And one of the things I did this year is I actually came out of my shell a little more because I
Yeah.
was someone very shy. I used to be very shy. Is I actually shared about BWS Awareness Day in my hometown's Facebook page
Oh,
Friday night. Um, and it's where I actually still live in the
mhm.
same town. I shared it in my church group, their Facebook page, and I also shared it on my wall. So I'm taking steps. And someone said to me about how I was advocating. She said a certain way. And it's like, and she's a new friend. And I had to say, I had to wait to answer you because you put tears in my eyes.
Oh, that's so,
Because it's just, let me see, I'm not sure if it's still on here.
yeah, feel free to take your time and see what she said.
Let me see.
Yeah, it's really quite incredible just being a part of this BWS
Yes.
community and the advocacy, like you said, and related, it kind of starts to spread into other areas of our lives with caregiving for your sister and more just being more public locally. Mhm.
Yeah. What my new friend wrote, what an advocate you are for those with this particular syndrome and for enlightening others about and all that you're doing to give back. It must have been incredible to meet someone who was in the same path as you. If only there was social media many moons ago to connect more easily for support. And she said, I will try to find some yellow. I may have to put a daffodil in my hair.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she's actually a friend of a friend that I've had for 60 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
So,
Oh,
and the other way I've been able to educate or advocate is the hospital that I was born in, which is in the town next door.
mhm.
Um, the Beckwith Wiedemann, the BWSCD.
Yes, yeah.
Um, I actually brought it to them and they said they were going to give it to the education department. Talk about coming full circle.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's yes, from when you were first born to the doctor saying it's all in your head to your mom to now being on that education piece and being a voice on that piece to help them within the hospital. Like that's incredible. So,
Yeah, because I had actually been transferred to another hospital because they did not believe I was going to make it.
oh,
Well, I mean, I had a lot of the large birth weight, the
right.
umbilical hernia, the hypoglycemia, I
Yep.
was on oxygen. So, but I remember in 2019, it was just before I spoke, I had found out that my sister first found out in one of her Bible study groups that my parents had been told not to let me live.
Oh,
And,
wow.
I just, and then 2 weeks later, sitting in the back of my church sanctuary, I was speaking with a gentleman who had my dad for his Sunday school high school teacher. And I then found out that my dad had shared with him, doctors did not expect me to live beyond 21. Well, as you can see, but taking that all in was a lot. And for me, I write.
Mhm.
And I wrote a poem called Can You Imagine? And actually, Honey had me open the
Share
summit.
it. Yeah, with the poem. She
She
rem
had me open.
yes. Oh, Um, that is so beautiful. If you, we would love to have you share that again. It doesn't have to be right this second, but if you wanted to share it in any way, we would love to hear that. Um, also. And then
And
let me see here. How is oh, you've already the second question you've already answered too. Ooh, how about what is a tip or piece of advice that has really made a difference for you that you feel others need to hear? So,
for me, it's pray and maintain balance. For example, self-care. It's important to remember that these two things will give you peace in your heart and your soul.
100%. And it's really hard. It's hard to do self-care for ourselves. It really is.
It is, but I've learned the hard way.
Yeah.
because if you don't do that, you will tend to burn out.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, and especially if you're in a more rural area where there isn't as much help as available, it's especially important in those areas. I come from a town of 13,000, but when I was growing up, it was about 7,000.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's pretty isolating. But what I have found that in the group is that one of the things I like doing is I like giving that hope and encouragement to the parents whose children are newly diagnosed or just, beginning their journeys because they can see that we've come to the other side and that we are living we're living a regular adult life. Yes, we may have some problems along the way, but like I'll be at my place of employment 30 years in May.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
So, I mean, we might do things a little differently or a little more slowly, but that doesn't stop us from living the life that we're called to.
Yes. And I feel like people who have BWS and even the advocates for them that are caregivers, like we're pretty tenacious. I think you had used that word earlier. And then we are up for a challenge. Like if there's a challenge that arises, we are up for it and we are going to do our best and we're going to go for it.
Yes, determination and a
Yes.
little bit of stubbornness too.
100%. Yes. Definitely stubbornness is there for me.
Yes.
That's all of BWS do.
But you know what? If we didn't have those, we wouldn't have gotten as far as we would eat either.
Yes, that is a good point. That is a good point. Um, so then a last question, please share with us anything you'd like to share. Anything else you'd like
Sorry.
to know? Or, oh, you're good. Um, we would love to hear it.
A couple of things. One of the most memorable events that happened to me was when I was in college. Um, I was actually doing a research paper on Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, and I wrote to Dr. Beckwith.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I actually remember receiving a handwritten letter from him. Um, can you imagine my surprise? We just moved from our lifetime home, so it's somewhere in this apartment. Don't ask me where yet. But I know we lost him this year, and I wanted to honor his memory because from what I've read, from what I read, he did that with all who wrote to him. I've seen that time and time again that have been diagnosed with BWS. He truly was a kind man, and I'm laughing because I wrote this before Honey spoke about him.
Oh, oh.
Um, and I said, and he has left us quite the legacy. And no, I did not confer with Honey. I had written that yesterday. Um, and the other thing, let me just pull up that poem you had
Yes,
asked me.
we would love to hear that. Thank you. Because yeah, I was not around in this circle yet in 2019. I was very close. So I would love to hear that.
One, two, it's kind of filter it. That's from, and I may cry a little bit because I do this in honor of my parents.
That's all right. I may tear up with you. So,
It's can you imagine? Can you imagine the parents of a baby just born being told that their newborn was very sick and the doctor said their child's life was not worth saving? Can you imagine the ache that must have been present within these parents' hearts? Can you imagine they instead chose to seek and trust God's voice? Can you imagine the prayers and faith that were brought before his throne? Can you imagine that this infant had the will to survive? Can you imagine the health challenges and uphill battles this little one would face? Can you imagine the parents being informed their child would not live beyond the age of 21? Can you imagine the determination the mother and father had? Can you imagine they never gave up looking for answers as they saw their child defying all the odds. Can you imagine the laughter that would not have rung? Can you imagine the joy that would not have shined? Can you imagine the hugs that would not have embraced others? Can you imagine the photos that would not have been snapped? Can you imagine the art that would not have been created? Can you imagine the children that would not have been taught, snuggled, and loved? Can you imagine the songs not sung or the instrumental not played? Can you imagine the words that would have remained unwritten? Can you imagine the prayers and praises that would not have been offered unto God? Can you imagine this child, now grown up, just recently found out about their beginnings? Can you imagine how overwhelmed their heart was with humbled gratitude when this adult keenly realized the precious gift of life they had received from their parents? Can you imagine the Lord is already using their entire story as this once very shy one is sharing it with friends and strangers alike that he's bringing across their path? And they can see how God is touching the souls and lives of those who are struggling. Can you imagine that this story is true? Can you imagine they were my parents? Can you imagine the life God decided would have no value as mine? In loving memory of my parents, Proverbs 19:21, many other plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand.
No, yeah, I'm tearing up with you. Oh, that is so beautiful, those words. Um, you are such a blessing to our world. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for writing that and just um, being here, sharing your advocacy, your emotion, your just everything you are here to just inspire and uplift everyone.
It's important that we get the word out
Yeah,
because the more that is known, the more people are educated. To this day, doctors still haven't heard of BWS. I am still educating today.
yes.
And it is so important to realize that we are people with value, that God sees us. We are made in his image.
hmm It is, yeah, very important. And everything that we can share, especially as adults, just helps the research for the kids being born, the kids who are 5 now, the kids who are teens. Like, it helps so much. And because I remember when I was born in the 80s, it was like, oh, it's a pediatric thing. So once they're a certain age, you don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's like, no, that's not true.
No, and doctors still have misinformation too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember when I had Lyme and I got very sick. Um, and of course, I never heard. And he said he had heard of BWS, and he goes to me, "Well, you know, you are at more risk for cancer, but that's not the case. It's more. It's when you're in childhood. There's
Yes.
still,
Cancer is
and
more risky, yes, in childhood. Yes. Yeah.
so I mean, you can see, and he was trying to be good, but and it was so funny because he had told me my sister knew, but we never told each other because we were too afraid to tell each other
Oh.
because it's just the two of us now. Our parents have been gone. Dad will be gone 22 years and mom's 17 in May. So it's just, but that poem was written because I realized what a precious gift my parents had given me, the gift of life.
Yes. Yeah.
And and if I can make a difference for one child or one parent who's gone on the BWS, it's on the BWS journey. And it doesn't matter whether you're single like I am or married as an adult,
Oh, yeah.
because we've walked the journey.
Mhm.
But what
We're all
we're
human.
finding,
We're all human and we need to, yeah, have that connection. Yeah.
and I am so grateful to Honey I mean, she's become a friend.
Yes.
She interviewed me 6 years ago, but she puts her heart and soul into this.
She really does. And it's all volunteer, the BWS Awareness Day. It's all volunteer. So it's like, and she's been doing, I don't even, she's been doing this for a very long time. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's the eighth annual summer. And I think I spoke at the second one.
second one. Yeah. Oh, so Lynn, I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and Honey's heart to be coming here again. So we get to see you again since 2019. Thank you for reading your poem again. So people like me and others who are just joining can really benefit from that encouragement and from your wisdom, your compassion and empathy. Do you want to leave any people with like one or two last tidbits of just like inspiration or anything?
Just never give up. Never give up. Keep fighting. Be determined. Don't let a doctor tell you no when you know otherwise.
That is such good advice. Thank you so much. We are so grateful to have you here.